A group of concerned citizens who advocate for stricter gun laws in the United States gathered outside the White House to ask Congress and the U.S. government to make changes in the current gun laws.
We need to tighten up the incredibly lax gun laws in certain states, which means somebody can go to that state, buy a gun, and bring it back to Chicago, say, or anywhere where the restrictions are a little higher. We need a universal background check system that works, and we need to get it together, America.
There have been nearly 300 mass shootings in the United States thus far in 2015. This increase in mass shootings in recent years has left citizens wondering when Congress will take definitive action.
After the Newtown shootings, we were all very hopeful that there would be a change in legislation. I mean, 20 young children shot, and that didn't do it. So it's hard to know what will do it, except that if we become more vocal as a nation.
92% of U.S. citizens agree that there need to be more strict background checks and that national laws must be implemented by Congress that will make the country safer.
There's ways to regulate guns, much like we regulate lots of other things in our country, for safety reasons. And we haven't gone far enough, not yet. And until we do, my children are still going to have to practice dangerous persons drills at school.
5% of authorized gun retailers do not follow the requirements to sell firearms. This percentage is the cause of 90% of the deaths that occur in the U.S. Bianca Perez, Telesur, Washington, D.C.
The results of the Haitian election are not expected until November, but the eyes of many in the Caribbean are looking to the future, hoping for a turn in fortunes for the beleaguered country. Over 5 years after a devastating earthquake, Haiti continues to face serious challenges. One of the key issues hampering recovery efforts remains the no receipt of funds which were pledged to the country by the international community in the aftermath of the quake. Some French Creole-speaking Caribbean islands like Dominica have a large Haitian population. Residents of St. Lucia say they are hoping for a fully functional government for their brothers and sisters in Haiti.
We want positive government in any country, okay, to my mind. And once it follows a democratic and fair process, all should be well.
Other nationals believe it is time for an end to the political and economic turmoil that have gripped Haiti. They say while there have been a few successes, Haiti needs a functional government and less interference from international governments.
The Caribbean governments must play a vital role in Haiti. Haiti is a part of the Caribbean, but America will intervene. The Caribbean government should intervene more, and the CARICOM should play a greater role in Haiti.
Haiti is a member of the 15-country Caribbean Community CARICOM bloc. A CARICOM observer mission is currently in the country, having supervised the elections. The second round of the legislative elections will be a runoff for seats in the lower house and the Senate in Haiti's 119 constituencies. The first round on August 9th saw some 2,000 candidates from over 100 political parties vying for those seats. Alison Kentish, Telesur, St. Lucia.
With Russian air support, the Syrian army has repelled a violent attack on the town of Ceasefire, southeast of Aleppo. The Islamic State group are trying to control the town to prevent the army from lifting the siege on the Queris airport nearby.
The United States and its supporters in the region are mainly against Syria, and they are trying with all their strength to foil any progress of the Syrian army. This is what Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey are trying to do by supporting the terrorists here. But we will win, inevitably, and with great thanks to our friends, the Russians.
At the same time, a Syrian military spokesman said that intelligence reports show that on the 16th of October, 4 aircraft arrived to Aden airport in Yemen, coming from Turkey, carrying more than 500 Daesh terrorists who had withdrawn from Syria because of Russian airstrikes.
The 500 terrorists withdrew from Syria because of Russian airstrikes, and when they arrived in Aden, officers of the Saudi alliance distributed them among 3 groups of terrorists. They moved the first group to the Strait of Bab el-Mandeb, and the second group to Marib in Yemen, and the third group to Jazan and Asir on the Saudi-Yemeni border to join the coalition ground forces. And the information we have is that the transfer of ISIS terrorists from Syria will continue during the coming period.
The rapid progress of the Syrian army, supported by the Russian air campaign, has confounded the extremists and the West, forcing both to change their plans for attacks and to withdraw from the areas they had previously controlled. Hazem Abdullah, Telesur, Syria.
This is the traditional Bolivian bread known as tanta wawa that's set to break a Guinness World Record. Pending approval, it's the biggest bread of its kind in the world, measuring 2.5 meters. Bakers from all over Bolivia spent most of the night making the sweet bread that's enjoyed as part of the All Saints' Day celebrations.
It's a tradition that has been done in Bolivia for thousands of years. What they are trying to do is to receive the souls of those who have and have left us.
Indigenous people celebrate All Saints and All Souls' Day as they believe it's the one time of the year where the living are reunited with the souls of their loved ones. The tanta wawa bread is a key part of this ritual. Made from a sweet, brioche-like dough, the name comes from the native Quechua language. Tanta means bread and wawa means baby. These breads were originally made in the shape of a baby to honour those children that died during the year. Now they're enjoyed all over the Andean region and exchanged by families and groups of friends in cemeteries as part of the traditional offering to the dead that takes place every November 2nd. Bakers say the bread comes in all sorts of shapes and sizes, representing the various traditions associated with the ritual.
We make animals like horses, which represents how the souls come to visit us. They're tired and the horses helps them return. And the latter is when they come to visit us down from there, from heaven.
Over the next few days, millions of people will enjoy eating these unique bread babies as part of the centuries-old rituals. Dimitri O'Donnell, Telesur, La Paz.
For almost 4 months, the FARC have implemented a unilateral ceasefire. Since then, Colombia has experienced a reduction in violence not seen since 1974. That is according to the Conflict Analysis Center, whose director considers it's time to take the FARC ceasefire one step forward.
We are late for the implementation of a bilateral ceasefire. Of course, that needs to be agreed within the peace negotiations, otherwise it won't be sustainable and have the verification mechanisms that are necessary for the legitimacy of a bilateral ceasefire.
The verification mechanisms are among the issues President Santos has urged an agreement be reached on as a condition for a timely implementation of the bilateral ceasefire that the FARC has repeatedly called for.
I hope that up to the 31st of December, we can, for instance, conclude the 5th point of the peace talks agenda, which is the end of the conflict, so that we can decree a bilateral and internationally verified ceasefire starting from the 1st of January.
The 5th point of the agenda includes the issues of demobilization and disarmament, but also all the technicalities that a bilateral ceasefire will necessarily imply, subjects that a technical commission is dealing with in Havana.
It is a topic that is being discussed and is crucial in order to guarantee that there will be no hostilities between the parties that subscribe to ceasefire. There needs to be some sort of control and verification, and that discussion has not concluded yet.
Now, the FARC has suggested there is no need to wait until January next year for a bilateral ceasefire, when it could rather come as a good Christmas gift for Colombians, something to which President Santos has reacted positively.
If we Colombians have already felt a reduction in violence, and the last 2 months have been the least violent in terms of armed conflict, now imagine how amazing it would be to have our first Christmas with no arms.
The announcement comes right ahead of the beginning of a new round of peace talks next week, bringing high the expectations of many Colombians. Natalia Margarita, Telesur, Bogotá.